We're going to give folks just a couple of more minutes. Some of them may be out in the lobby feasting their eyes, and if you haven't already done it, I suggest you do it on the way out. The newest addition to the lobby of BPAC is a wonderful. Lori, would you wouldn't call it a painting, would you? Or, she would call it a painting. Okay, it is a painting without paint. Okay. It's like if you've ever seen the Tournament of Roses parade, you know that every square inch of the floats have to be covered with flower petals. Well, every square inch of this painting is covered with fabric. And it is just, it's a masterpiece. And it's one of the few paintings that we have on this campus that you can spend 10 minutes standing in front of and just trying to figure out, and you get three people give you three different interpretations. It's just wonderful. I'm just, and we owe Lori a wonderful. Thank you very much. While I'm thanking people, you know, Joe Brown set this up. I'm up here. I like to be down there, as you know, but I'm up here because we're live streaming this. We can't be live streaming it to too many people because I think we have a better turnout with COVID than we had without COVID. And it's so nice to see you. I mean, I don't want to get waxed too lyrical, but it's like looking out into your garden and seeing all these beautiful flowers that you haven't seen in months and months and months. It's always a special day to be the first day of school, and it's extraordinarily special because it's the first time, I guess, since, well, just 2 years ago, because we didn't have employee recognition really either of the last 2 years in person. So it's the first time in 2 years that we've been together. So thank you so much for coming, and please don't sneeze on the person next to you. I had the pleasure last night, I don't know if Rhonda Hawkins is here this morning, but I had the pleasure last night of attending an orientation that she and Rebecca and Julie had organized for the new faculty. And so I was just so taken with that. We have had to postpone our new employee dinner for obvious COVID reasons, but we will get to that one. They had a nice gathering last night, and I want to offer a special welcome to those of you for whom this is your first day, truly your first day of school at Sandhills. And as I said last night, if you have a career here like I've had, if you have half as much fun as I've had, you'll have had a great career. And Rhonda said, tell them how long you've been here, Dr. Dempsey. And I said, I've been here 33 years. And if you count the 7 years I was at Belmont Abbey, this is my 40th year as a college president. That's more than half my life. And hopefully this year I'll get it right. I've had 40 years of practice, and by God, we're going to get it right this year. Somebody who gets it right almost all the time is George Little. I say that, of course, because he's my boss. George is in his 40th year of service as a Sandhills trustee, and as you know, this is the summer of George, and we had our little signs and our little parties and our little trip to the movies, but unbeknownst to us, people around the region, people around the country, have also noticed the work that George has done, and he has been selected this year as the outstanding trustee in the southern region of the United States. So I think that deserves a hand, and he will be given his award at a dinner in San Diego in October. And I ask you, what kind of a person would let his boss go to San Diego to get an award and not go with him? You know, I mean, really. George.
Thank you, Dr. D. Welcome to everyone. Welcome. We're glad you're here. I was just thinking back 40 years ago when I came to this meeting, It was over in the building next door, and it was in the courtyard area, and there was no roof. It was outside, and that's where the faculty and staff gathered. There was no auditorium or anything like that here on this campus. So we've made a lot of progress. So I want to welcome you to the best community college in America. How's that? And I don't say that because, except for reasons. And let me give you the reasons. We educate our students here because of the Promise Program. Our corporate, our foundation corporate today is somewhere between $45 and $46 million. How many community colleges in America can touch that? None, almost none. So we're the best community college in North Carolina and one of the top 10 in the country. I'd say we're the best in the country, but somebody might want to argue with me on that. But really, and why we do so well is because of the Promise Program. And we've raised the money through Dr. D and others, and we have the best foundation, and that pays for our students. And if you're a Moore or a Hope County student, and you take 2 courses your junior year in high school, 2 courses your senior year in high school, you got a free scholarship. No other college says that in America, community college. So that's something special. So where we are is a special place because of the giving of our fellow people that live in Moore and Hope counties and have supported us to make us. And you people have delivered. You've made us one of the top 10 community colleges in America. And I thank you for that. Give yourself a round of applause. So today it's 40 plus years. We've been around and been doing it, and we'll keep on doing it and, in this great area. So I just want to say on behalf of the Board of Trustees at Sandhills, first of all, I want to thank Dr. D and recognize him for the outstanding job he does. Let's give him a round of applause. And I want to thank y'all for what you do from the board. We appreciate it, and you're great. Thank you very much, and welcome.
George has to earn a living, so are you going to take off or what? Yeah, I'm going to take off. Okay, yeah. George, thanks very much. You know, you don't work in a place for 33 years if you don't have a good boss. This is George's 40th year, and he's just told me this morning that he's signed up for 40 more. So his wife doesn't know about it, but George has signed up for 40 more. Speaking of folks who have signed up, we have a brand new food service provider, and Kirk Lynch, who is in charge of these sorts of matters, is going to come up, and he's going to introduce some people that we'd like you to meet.
Good morning. I'm Kirk Lynch. I got a message last night from Rich Goff congratulating me on 18 years here at Sandhills Community College. Rich asked me to pass along hello to all his friends here at Sandhills, and so hello from Rich Goff. He doesn't have any friends here. Well, so if you're not his friend, he didn't say hello. What's that? He didn't send me a joke, no. He's not prepared. Yeah. 18 years ago, Rich and I and Susan Grind and maybe a few other of yous were standing here for our first time ever, so this is 18 years for me, which means this is my 19th opening day. And I don't recall ever having a better breakfast in 19 years than we had today. So I'd like to introduce our new cafeteria, the Mean Bean Girls. If you'd please stand up, they're in the back. Jess, Teresa, and Keisha. So as soon as I get done yapping up here, they're going to take off and get ready for lunch. So What's going on in the cafeteria is we've designed a partnership with Mean Bean and Sand Hills and Meridian Kiosk. It's designed to be safe for social distancing and minimal contact. Just a hint, there's an app on your phone that you can now order and pay with. If you want to get a head start on that, go to your app store and search for SCC, the flight deck, and you'll find our app. I will be sending a detailed email about all of the processes that are going to go on in the cafeteria. We still are waiting to put some things in place, so be patient, please. But it's going to be a good model for us going forward, I'm pretty sure. Speaking of lunch today, I've been asked to announce what's going on. So between 11:15 and noon, continuing education can pick up your boxed lunches under the TV next to Charlotte in the Dempsey Center. There'll be boxed lunches there on a table. Faculty can pick yours up between 12 and 1 outside of the game room in Dempsey Center. And everyone else gets to enjoy Mean Bean. They're going to have a limited menu. You can go down and order what they have, and they'll serve it to you. It's good practice for them, and you get a little variety that way. And this is all because Heather is paying for our lunches today out of her own pocket. I believe that's a tradition that when you're the executive assistant to the president, you have to buy lunch for everybody on opening day. So I will be sending that email shortly, and we'll have details about how you can use our cafeteria going forward. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kirk. Appreciate that very much. Like to, now the best part. Well, one of the best parts. One of the best parts of opening day is we get to meet new friends. And it's nice to see old friends, but it's especially nice to meet new friends. And so this year, Wendy Dotson, our HR director, has put together, I think, a video. Oh, she was going to explain in a minute that we're not going to have a video. We've decided instead to just have an audio presentation. When?
Well, as everyone has said before me, it is so nice to see everybody gathered in one place. The reason we're not having a video this year is because our new employees have been really busy working at their jobs. So we're hoping within the next week to be able to put the video together and then email it all out to you. Since we're all wearing masks, it's hard to see them, but you will get to know them better through that video as soon as we get it put together. But in the meanwhile, I'd like to introduce whoever on this list is here. If you would just stand up and give everybody a wave so they can see where you are. Starting with last fall, Tara Jarrell started with us as a part-time employee and is also a Sand Hills graduate. She was promoted to accounting associate in September. Is Tara here? No. This is why we're going to send you all the video. The next person that was hired was in October, and that's Kadisha Durham. Is she here? See, I told you, they're all working hard. Kadisha's working with Wendy Kaufman's team as an e-learning specialist. The next person that was hired in December was Lori Forrester. She's working with our continuing education department as a certified medical assistant. See, they're all working, Dr. Dempsey. This is why it's so hard to put that video together. The next person hired in December was Jessica Freedy. She is our new full-time Hope Campus police officer. Then starting in January, Amy Vandenover was hired as our coordinator of our Meta Lab technician. Is Amy here? No. I'm batting 1,000. Then also David Townsend started as a part-time housekeeping person, and he was promoted to a structural maintenance technician with our maintenance department in January. He must be here, they're clapping. Then in continuing education, Monica Arvelo was hired full-time, starting part-time, but went to full-time. Yay! There's Monica. She is the registration and program support person. Then in May, Jared Little started with us in the continuing education department. He will be, there he is, hey Jared. He is actually taking over for Ronnie Patton, who was going to be leaving us, I believe, in October. Yes, October. Jared is the Director of Trades and Business Support Programming. Also in July, now we're on to our super new employees who've only been here for a month. James Locklear has been hired as our Advanced Manufacturing Instructor. Donald Smith has also been hired full-time as a Fire and Rescue Instructor in the Continuing Education Department. Laura Hassel was hired as a nursing instructor in July also. And then two I'm really excited about. We have adjunct instructors who've now become full-time instructors with us in the nursing department, Amanda Hedpath and Heather Zerbal. And just recently, Rodney Glover has been hired as a full-time HVAC instructor in the Continuing Education Department. In automotive, Brian Kramer has been hired as our new full-time instructor. There's Brian. Another adjunct who's now become full-time with us in the English department is Kara Scheip. And we have Kimberly Drain also, who's starting as a full-time instructor, I believe in the fall or in January in the English department. And that is everybody for now. Welcome back. Have a great, what? How did I miss Laura Turner? Sorry, Laura. She was adjunct last fall, and now she is full-time with us in the massage therapy program. And that's all I have. Have a great year.
Thank you, Ms. Dodson. Appreciate that. Let's see. George talked about how great we are. George loves to talk about how great we are. I never met anybody like George, I swear to God. He's the world's most optimistic optimist. The glass is not only half full, it's flowing over, it's onto the table, it's on your clothes. You go into his office and say, George, Brenda Jackson made off with $2 million. And he'll say, well, but the endowment was up $3 million last month. You know, I mean, he's just such an optimist, and thank God for that, because, and honestly, that's kind of the kind of boss I've tried to be, because you don't want people doing gloom and doom all the time. It'll just get to you. But I do have some gloom and doom for us this morning. And that is, just like many community colleges in the country, our enrollment is down. This is not a surprise. It is not the fault of our wonderful admissions staff. So, Carrie, you can take a pass on this. It is not the fault of our wonderful student affairs staff or our financial aid staff, or it's certainly not the fault of our development staff. We have, as George said, if you live in Moore County and you went to high school here, particularly this year, there is a chance that you could come for free. And when I see on television that the new bill that they're talking about, that Mr. Biden is trying to push through Congress and giving free, or paying for, not giving free, but paying for K through pre-K education for all children in America, and paying for community colleges for all children or young adults in America. If somebody had to ask me which of those is the more important, I would say the pre-K. Because by the time you get to be of school age, here at Sandhills, thanks to our foundation, you can come here for almost every case tuition free. In addition to that, if you have some special needs, Jermaine and Jennifer and Cassidy are more than willing to help with those special needs. There is no reason. I used to say there is no good reason why a student can't stay at Sandhills. None, financially. There is now no good reason why a student can't come to Sandhills financially. I guarantee tuition-free admission to high school graduates from this community. Nobody else can say that, and still our enrollment is down. And of course, it's pandemic related. And of course, it's related to the economy. If a DJ goes along and tells some kid he can get him comes to work and studies hard for 2 years, he can get him a $50,000 job, that's great. But if somebody on the street says, hey, if you want to come to work Monday morning, I'll give you a $50,000 job, I know what I'd choose. So when the economy is this hot, we have a lot of competition from the non-educational private sector. And so we do have serious enrollment problems. And whether they're our fault or not our fault, we are funded based on our enrollment. When our enrollment goes up, our funding goes up. When our enrollment goes down, our funding goes down. And between, I'd say, Kelly, you can give me more, but between last year and this year, we're down 10%. And that is a lot. 10% is a lot of money. Our budget is, I don't know, $30 million, give or take. 10% of that, I could have said 9% or 11%, which probably is more accurate, but I wouldn't have been able to do the math. So 10% of $30 million, that's a bunch of money. You can't save that on pencils. And this year, thank goodness, and Brenda's going to talk about this in just a minute, the legislature, knowing that the circumstances in the world are different, the legislature has given us a pass, if you will, by funding us in a hold harmless situation. More or less, and it's actually a little less, but more or less, they're going to give us what we would have made last year before our enrollment went down, because they understand that this is not our fault. But eventually, it's going to catch up with us. And so we've, pounded our brains, pounded our desks, tried to figure out what's the best approach to this, and we've discovered, to be quite honest with you, that while we're very good at many, many things, including auditoriums, and by the way, Joe Brown, over the summer, while the rest of us have been resting, Joe Brown has been busy putting together a program for the stage at BPAC this coming year, this coming fall, the coming spring. This is just going to be fabulous. And Joe has maybe disappeared. Funny, I should mention that because I'm going to talk about a magician. Maybe the magician has made Joe disappear. Where are you, Joe? He's disappeared. He was here. We have a show coming up. I think it's August 27th. Is that the right night? We have a magician named, what is his name? Paul Lebec. He's on, what's that show on TV? The Illusionist. And he is phenomenal. And Joe's been working hard on that. He's been working hard on getting Christian Chenoweth and so forth. And on October 7th, David Michael Wolfe will open his season with a Broadway concert here. And our foundation, God bless them and thank them, our foundation has purchased 100 tickets. And we are giving those 100 tickets to Moore Regional's nurses as a way of thanking them. As a way of thanking them for what I 2 weeks ago would have said what they did for us. Sadly now, I must say what they are doing for us in caring for our COVID patients. So that'll be quite a night. I suspect there will be some emotion involved in that night, and it'll be lovely. So we do things beautifully. We have the most beautiful campus. My God, I walked up from Stone Hall to the BPAC this morning, and I looked at the grass. I almost want to take my clothes off and just roll around there. I mean, it's so beautiful out there, and Dennis and Doug and their wonderful staff. They've just done a fabulous job. All right, that's enough laughter, all right? Jeez, you make a self-deprecating remark, and people keep on deprecating. Is deprecating a verb? Where's Susan Grine? Is deprecating a verb? Deprecate, all right. Well, people are deprecating. We don't do a good job on the retention of our students. Again, this is partly a community college phenomenon. You go to Yale as a freshman, there's a 97% chance you'll be back as a sophomore. And there's a 93% chance you'll graduate. Now, people who go to Yale have, special skills, special gifts. People who come to Sandhills do not. For the most part, if they had those special gifts, they would be at Yale. And I think we need all to acknowledge that and to recognize that our students have struggles. They have financial struggles, which they should never, ever, 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 ever have. If you ever talk to a student who says that she's going to drop out of school, you say, don't drop out of school until you've talked to Dr. Dempsey. Whatever financial problem you have, he can fix. And he will fix. Even if it's getting new tires for the bald tires on your van, he can do it. So never, never, never let anybody drop out of this school for financial reasons. But we know that there are also academic reasons. Rebecca and I have been talking. We have it used to be that if you did poorly, you got put on probation. And we sort of took that seriously, and we counsel these kids. We've kind of let that sort of slide by. We're not going to be doing that anymore. We're reinstating the notion of probation, which is, frankly, we have the warning letters for students doing poorly in the middle of a semester. This is a real warning for students doing poorly at the end of the semester. But we don't do as well in retention as our state averages. We don't do as well in retention as the colleges around us that have the same demographics that we have, that in fact don't have the money. You go to Central Carolina and you drop out of school because you can't afford it, that's legitimate. That's not legitimate at Sandhills. That's not legitimate at Sandhills. So even the schools that are nearby, who don't have the resources that we have higher retention rates than we have at Sandhills. If, for example, you are an African-American male, what would you think the percentage chance would be that you will graduate within 3 years? Not 2 years. They give you 3 years to graduate. We are, after all, a 2-year college. So they give you 3 years to graduate. What percentage of our African-American males graduate after 3 years? It's 19%. And if you take away from that, frankly, Mike Apple's basketball team, who graduates almost all of his players, that number goes down further. That is somewhere between an abomination and a disgrace. And I am going to change that if it kills me. And it may kill me. We are putting in place, in cooperation with our Board of Trustees, who are very concerned about this, as they have every right to be, we're putting in place a special program to work with these young men to bring those numbers up, to double those numbers. I will double those numbers or die trying. And at my age, it might be 50-50. So I'm going to double those numbers or I'm going to die trying. And to head up the effort to help us get to where we need to be, I picked a person with the most important credentials imaginable. Forget the degrees, forget the doctorate, forget the Duke background. The mother of 3 African-American males who went to college, who had vastly different experiences in college, and who knows and understands what it takes for these kids to succeed in college. Twana McKnight. Twana, you want to come up and talk a little bit about this?
Good morning. Hope everyone had a great summer. As Dr. Dempsey was alluding, as a result of the numbers, that 19%, The college as a whole has decided to put together an African American male initiative that was launched to develop programs in order to assist us in addressing ways in which we can double those numbers. At the core of the African American Male Initiative, we developed a program called Brothers Achieving Success and Excellence, also known as BASE. The goal of BASE is to increase the retention, graduation, engagement, and the overall success of African American males through 3 key elements. Those program elements are success coaching, mentoring, and outreach. So right now, we are looking for a few good men and a few good women to join us in this endeavor as a success coach. The success coach is a member of Sandhills faculty or staff, and those individuals will support the student in their academic and personal success. They will work one-on-one with the students and provide intrusive and intentional support by meeting with the student at least twice a month, and more time is actually encouraged. I have a short description, just a few bullet points, just to kind of share with you all what the job description would be, because what we're doing right now is we're asking you guys to support us in possibly becoming a success coach. So some of the responsibilities that you would actually be asked to do or expected to do as a success coach: you would assist the students with the development of an individualized success plan. You will hold the student accountable for their goals and monitor their academic progress through looking at their grades. You will keep students engaged with course content to ensure successful completion of their classes. You will inspire and motivate the student. You will help build community and establish that sense of belonging. You will assist the students with identifying and utilizing campus and community resources that will support degree completion and further aid the student in successfully completing their academic goals. You will serve as a liaison between the student, faculty, academic, and student support service staff. Respond to early alerts from faculty with outreach to students struggling in classes. Offer assistance and make referrals to college resources in an effort to promote student retention. You will assist the student with time management skills and study strategies. Provide guidance to the students to help them to manage their education, work, and other priorities. And lastly, you will support students in overcoming obstacles. This is just a list, but of course there's a lot of other things that you would do to assist the student. We're looking for people who are truly compassionate about helping this particular target population. As Dr. Dempsey alluded to, right now there may be several different factors as to why these individuals have not been able to stay in school long enough in order to complete what they came to college for. So we need people to be intrusive. Intrusive may seem like a negative word, but intrusive to us is basically being there, showing up, and what we call showing out, to be able to help those students to be able to complete their degrees that they've come here to achieve. So there will be an email that will be going out in the next few days. I will, again, garner support from faculty and staff. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your gender. We need all hands on deck right now to assist this target population. Dr. Dempsey, do you want me to talk about stipends? Yes?
Might as well.
Okay. We are looking for individuals who also, we realize that, if you were to join us in this endeavor, we do realize that it is asking you to add on additional responsibilities to your job. So we're also looking at the possibility of providing stipends to individuals who sign up. And really, what we've discussed is we don't want people to sign up just because they may receive a little bit of extra money. We do want people who are compassionate about helping this target population. So again, just check your emails over the next few days. I will send additional information out to share some more information about what a success coach is and the expectations of this individual. And I also mentioned mentoring as part of the 3 elements. And if you may not want to do the success coach piece, we're also looking for individuals to become mentors for this population as well. So once you see the email, if it's something that you think you're passionate about, please just send me an email or call me. If you have any additional questions between now and the time that the email come out, please, again, just make sure that you shoot me an email or give me a call, and I'll share some additional information with you. Thank you much.
Thanks, Tawana. Again, we're getting people to sign up here. It's like my first day in the Navy, and I made the mistake of signing up for too many things, but so be careful. But we have a number of special populations that we're really working hard on retaining. One of them, of course, is the promise students we get. And we're getting lots and lots of promise students, students who come here expecting Jermaine Elkins to pay their way through college. And Jermaine gracefully gives them the money that they need. And Jonathan, where's Jonathan? He's got on one of his Hawaiian shirts this morning. Jonathan Garrison has put together a bridge program for these kids. He needs help. God knows Jonathan needs help. No, he really does. He really needs all the help that he can get for this special population of students. So Jonathan, I assume that you'll be recruiting perhaps by email for people to help you out? Oh, he's not here. Oh, I can say all kinds of things about Jonathan. But anyway, he is working very hard with our promise students. We're also going to have once we get things settled in the VA office, and my hat's off to Kelly for stepping in to be the VA officer in between permanent appointments to that position. You know, Teresa's leaving, and we haven't hired her successor yet. I always thought the VA officer, you know, I mean, I went to college on the GI Bill, or at least I went to graduate school on the GI Bill, and I'd go in to see my VA officer, as Bruce Springsteen says, went down to see my VA man. He said, "Son, don't you understand?" I'd go to see my VA man, and he'd say, "Son, don't you understand?" And I thought all he did was just sort of sit there and say no. That was the job description. But it's not. There's a tremendous amount of bureaucracy that goes. If you think it's difficult dealing with the system office, cube the system office in terms of the bureaucratic nonsense that you have to go through for our VA students. So we're going to put in place a new VA officer, and when we do that, we're going to be using the VA students, the veteran students, as another special population that we're going to be focusing on in terms of their retention. Very important to retain these folks. That should be a somewhat easier task. They got plenty of money to get them through, assuming Kelly gets all their forms filled out. They got plenty of money to get them through, but as you know, if you've had veteran students, particularly recent veterans, they've got some issues. And those issues are not always easy to deal with, and it requires special attention, and we're going to create the special population for the veterans. We're also going to, thanks to Susan Grine. Where is young Susan? She's up in the balcony. Susan Grine has come up with this idea of engagement coordinators, which I thought was like a wedding coordinator, and you got to pick the colors and so forth. Turns out that it's not. It turns out that it is. What is it, Susan? Can you tell us in just a few words? That is perfect. Heather, you want to add to that? Heather signed up to be an engagement coordinator. Yeah, no, it's a new idea, and it's particularly, we hope it'll be particularly effective with kids who are taking their classes online. You know, it's no secret, and this, you know, you can't help but watch television every night. You know that there are battles going on about should we be vaccinated, should we have compulsory masks, and, you know, the whole gamut of stuff that you see, and it's certainly true, almost without question, that in-person education is better for students than online education is. That's just sensible. Julie might disagree with that, but she's more data-driven than I am. And I'm talking really about little kids as well as college students. But college students taking classes online, particularly if loneliness or if solitude is an issue for them, they need help as well. And this group, and if you've got an interest in this, Susan, will you be sending out another email or?
I will. I'll send out another email if you would like an engagement coordinator in one of your classes, or if you would like to serve as an engagement coordinator, I'll send out an email to all faculty and staff and send that out to you.
Thank you very, very much, Susan. Susan, just another example of a Sand Hills faculty member who's going the extra mile and a half for our students. I mean, that's what we do around here. That's why these numbers are so incredibly puzzling. You know, I mean, it just boggles the mind, knowing our faculty and knowing our staff and knowing how caring we are and knowing how much we adhere to the college's core values. And we, I think, oftentimes put helpfulness as number one. It just boggles my mind that our retention numbers are not better. When you talk about students having problems taking classes online and solitude and veterans who have maybe special problems, it brings up the issue of student mental health, something that we at Sand Hills have been acutely aware of and have been talking about for a number of years. I don't know if Tim is here. Are you here, Tim? Well, I don't need to tell you that we are blessed at Sand Hills to have Tim Hunt as our director of counseling. He's going to be moving into a newer, broader position in the future, but he is a wonderful resource, and Rose is a wonderful resource. Kids need help. They have all kinds of problems. They have all kinds of difficulties. Sometimes they're not solvable by simply an engagement coordinator who really is there for academic reasons. Sometimes they have personal reasons. And we have with us today a student who had some personal reasons for some struggles in her life. And lo and behold, right before our very eyes, she came to Sand Hills, and in the process of coming to Sand Hills, she gained the skills to help her overcome some of those difficulties. And in the process, she became one of the most successful students we've ever had at Sand Hills Community College, and certainly one of the most successful student body presidents we've ever had at Sand Hills Community College. And our memories are often not long, but certainly everybody in the room remembers Megan Ramsey, our student body president extraordinaire, and she is here today to talk with you about Alcoholics Anonymous.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Dempsey, and thank you, everybody, for letting me have this opportunity. I'm not going to do too much of the talking, actually. I've done a lot of that here in my time. It's so nice to come back here. Every time I come back to Sand Hills, even though I graduated in May, it feels like home. It really has felt like a family at Sand Hills, and just, I don't know, it's so nostalgic coming back here. The school's meant so much to me. When George Little was talking about this being the best community college in the nation, I really do agree with that. Some of you might have heard my story on the Flyers Take Flight podcast. I think that's the name of it, and it's a little bit longer of a story of my recovery if you haven't. I am a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. When I started here at Sand Hills, I was actually going through a relapse at the time, and some of my teachers weren't aware of that. It was a tough and difficult time. I am a year and a half, maybe about that, sober today, and that is through the help of Alcoholics Anonymous. So today I'm going to introduce my friend Steve. He is going to talk a little bit about Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, what I can do today is just tell a little bit about my experience, strength, and hope about something that has ultimately saved my life. What we like to do is just share a little bit about what Alcoholics Anonymous is and how potentially you can maybe plant a seed in someone's life that might be struggling with a drink problem or with alcoholism. You know, we're not up here to say that we have a monopoly on recovery, but we do have a solution that works in our lives. So with that, I just want to give you Steve Moore. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. I appreciate that. I appreciate Megan. I've been friends with her for a year and a half. I wasn't associated with her when she was still drinking. She's a pretty rough, she was running with a rough crowd. I'm not going to tell her business in the street, but I probably will. But I appreciate Megan. This seemed like a good idea when I agreed to do it. Now I don't know so much, but I am grateful to be here. Dr. Dempsey, thank you for having us and leading this college to be one of the best. I know I've appreciated Sandhills. I've taken some, what do they call it, some continuing education classes here, and I've graduated from DWI school here twice in the past. That's not very impressive to y'all, but it's a big deal to me because I got out of there alive. But anyway, thank you. So I was praying all morning and focused because I really want to be a good example and a good, of what Alcoholics Anonymous is and what it can do for a guy like me. So I was focused and praying and doing good, and then Dr. Dempsey got to talking about rolling around in the grass naked. Well, see, that ain't the picture I got. Like, naked means naked. And I'm thinking if I'd have saw that, I'd have probably stripped down and rolled with it. I don't know. I probably shouldn't have said that. Anyway, now he's scarred for life, but so that should make us even. But anyway, I was pretty focused up until that point. Now I can't get that out of my mind. But anyway, I'll just keep praying. But I'm glad to be here. So my job is to tell about Alcoholics Anonymous. He said I've got an hour and a half to do that. And so I'm going to talk fast. I'm kidding. I don't know how long I've got, but I'll talk until he comes up here and says that's enough. But I do appreciate being here, appreciate being able to get in front of the faculty and staff here. And a little bit about Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm going to give a brief history. So what happened, Alcoholics Anonymous was founded in 1935 by a surgeon in Akron, Ohio, and a stockbroker from New York. Bill Wilson was a stockbroker. He traveled to Akron on a business idea, and the Akron physician was Dr. Bob Smith. And what happened was Bill had been sober about 6 months through the Oxford group, which was basically a first century Christian organization. And he's bad to drink and in big trouble. Had lost all his money trying to get this business deal going. And what happened, he travels to Akron and the business deal falls through and he really wants to drink. I mean, that's kind of what alcoholics do. We drink, and because that's all we know once we get involved in that. And he made some phone calls and he got introduced to Dr. Bob Smith. And what happened was they realized at that point that when one alcoholic talks to another, something, I guess, spiritual happens, and they found that together they could do what they couldn't do separate. And because when you talk about online learning and the isolation and the loneliness, that's really some of the breeding ground for alcoholism. And I think we've probably seen a lot of that in the last 15 months with people at home isolating, but it's so easy to just start drinking. And so anyhow, those guys got together, and I'm pretty sure, so Dr. Bob Smith, he was a proctologist in Akron, so I'm pretty sure those folks in the community were glad he got sober because I don't know about y'all, but if a proctologist is working on me, I'd kind of like for him to either be completely sober or maybe had a few drinks that morning to steady his nerves anyway. It's probably going to get worse from that anyway. Yeah, it is. So anyway, just kind of through the years, Alcoholics Anonymous is June 10th, 1935 was when those guys met up. And I'm just going to fast forward. I'm not going to give you 86 years of Alcoholics Anonymous history. But today, what I just like for folks to note is Alcoholics Anonymous is alive and well here in Moore County, in North Carolina. I want to say this, and I'm going to cut back across. I probably should have said this early on. Well, something just come to mind is one of the core values of Sand Hills I heard was helpfulness. And that's the core value of Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, we're not here we're not here because we think somebody on the staff's got a drinking problem or the faculty. We're not here for any other reason to just let people know that if you know somebody that has a drinking problem, whether it's a family or a friend, Alcoholics Anonymous is a place they can get well and get help. But Anonymous is an important part, and I would like to say this, because I stand in front of you as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, but we do try to make sure people honor and respect anonymity. So if there's any kind of press release, print stuff, I don't know if there's anybody taking pictures, not that you'd want my picture, but Ramsey takes a good picture. We just ask that whatever you might do as far as a press release, just talk about maybe a member of Alcoholics Anonymous spoke to the faculty. Leave out my name and certainly no pictures, because it's not that I'm ashamed to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, but what we want people to know is if it's a new person or somebody struggling, they think, if I got to get up in front of Sand Hills faculty and tell about their membership in AA, and no. Those of us that are comfortable in our membership and comfortable sharing that information, we try to do it with some confidence and not with any kind of arrogance or any kind of publicity. Our local group meets at the First Baptist Church here in Southern Pines. We started that meeting in 1997. There's a lot of good meetings in this area. That's just the group that I'm affiliated with. We're appreciative to Dr. John Stone when we met with him, and certainly Dr. David Helms and Dr. Tom Allen for allowing us to continue to meet there and try to serve the community and serve people that have a drinking problem. The other thing that we meet on Mondays and Thursday nights at 7 p.m. There is an Al-Anon meeting that's for family and friends of alcoholics. That meets Monday night at 7. Megan has some information, and if you're interested, I can give you my contact information afterwards as well. One of the things we find is the best way to make a referral to Alcoholics Anonymous is to maybe have a phone number of somebody that they can call and talk to, or it might just be as simple as planting a seed and saying, hey, if you think you got a problem, maybe find an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. You can Google it and find plenty of them here in Moore County. The other thing I'm going to do is just kind of qualify how I got involved in Alcoholics Anonymous and why I thought that was important. I was a guy born and raised here in Moore County, good family and a good home growing up. And what happened is, at 11 years old, I was camping out with some buddies, and we get a hold of some Mad Dog 2020 wine. Anybody ever drink any Mad Dog? You shouldn't raise your hands, because Megan's taking notes. We're recruiting y'all immediately, because if you drank Mad Dog wine and you're not in Alcoholics Anonymous, you need to be. I'm just saying. I'm kidding, but I did spot a couple of you. I noticed Trish didn't raise her hand. I know Trish, she's known her for years as a good friend and customer of mine, but anyway, that's what I started out drinking, and what I did is I fell in love with the effects produced by alcohol. And one of the things about Alcoholics Anonymous, we're not against drinking. We're not a temperance movement. We're not out trying to get people to quit drinking. Like, we think if you drink and drink socially or drink alcoholically, keep drinking. Socially is good. If you drink alcoholically, drink a little harder and come see us. We'll help you. But we're not against alcohol at all. But what we are want to be available if somebody has a problem with it. We just want to be helpful. So I'm going to fast forward because I think I'm out of time. That look looks like, dude, you've been out of time, out of touch with time and everything else. But what happened in 1984, I got in a lot of trouble. and I got a felony charge, a couple DUIs, and a non-alcoholic counselor and a non-alcoholic lawyer told me I probably should go to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I joined Alcoholics Anonymous in March 26, 1984. I'm a guy that's been sober from that time to this. And I say that because the power I found in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous and by trying to live by some spiritual principles and try to help people is more powerful than the illness of alcoholism. And that's what happened to me is, you know, I was introduced to a program that saved my life. And we know that anybody that's struggling with alcoholism, you know, we have a solution. There's a lot of other good solutions, but we have a solution. So, again, thank you for the time. Thank you for your attentiveness. And, you know, sometimes it's just as simple, non-alcoholics or people want to know, how can I help somebody with a drinking problem? You can get our contact information. That if it's male or female, you can call Megan or I. And, or maybe just say, you know, maybe you should go to Alcoholics Anonymous, or maybe offer to go with them, because we have some open meetings that are open to the public, and anybody's welcome to attend. So thank you, sir, and I appreciate you allowing me to be here.
Great job. Yes. What would make you think I would forget Nevius and Jessica? The fact that I often forget Nevius and Jessica? Let me just say one more thing about Alcoholics Anonymous. He did mention that it is anonymous, and so Megan has asked me the other day not to bring to the attention of the crowd some of the accolades that she has received in her educational career here at Sandhills, and so I didn't do that, and I won't do that. But one of the bumper stickers that you often see with people who are members of Alcoholics Anonymous simply says serenity. And Megan always embodied serenity to me. Whenever I would talk with Megan, she's got it. Don't worry, I've got this. Don't worry, I've got this. Don't worry, I've got this. And I learned that she's got this. And she does it in a very calm and serene way, and that's a very admirable trait to have. As a person who has been accused of many things, but never serenity, I appreciate that. Sometimes people accuse me of missing parts of the program. Not today, though. No siree, Bob. Not today. Nevius Tony, our wonderful faculty association president, is, I know, in the audience. I saw her coming in. Oh, she's right here. Nevius, do you want to come up or stay there, or what do you want to do? She's coming up.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just wondering how many of you have the affliction of the microphone giving you like brain freeze. I have that affliction, therefore I have to write everything down so I don't forget it. Well, first of all, welcome back to college, you know, and our theme was supposed to be prepare for takeoff. So prepare for takeoff. Today, our faculty retreat will be abbreviated. You may have heard. We will, immediately following today's program, we will hear from Dr. Voigt, Dr. Roush, and also Student Services. You may stay here if you feel comfortable. You may also go back to your area, and those of you at home, hello. The choice is yours. We simply want to make sure that you're safe. Afterwards, you can grab a lunch at Dempsey Student Center. And after that, officially, the faculty retreat will be over. And it will allow you an opportunity to finish up your courses, put the finishing touches on them. The remainder of the retreat will then be filmed at a later date, and over the course of 4 weeks, you'll be sent a film. And I want to personally thank in advance landscape gardening, culinary, computer engineering, and automotive because they will be filming for us. These videos will highlight the creativity and innovation of our colleagues, and they'll show how they were able to successfully keep our students engaged during the darkest days of our quarantine. So look out for those emails. Also look out for an email from me requesting that you nominate somebody or volunteer for some of the openings that we have for our committees. The last thing I'd like to say is I hope that we as a college and as faculty continue to move forward. We've accomplished a great deal, and I hope that if you have any ideas that you'll bring them forward to me so that we can continue to do just that. Thank you.
Jessica does not suffer from the affliction of being afraid of the microphone. Quite to the contrary. She finds it very home-like. So, Jessica Locklear, one half of the winner of the Staff Person of the Year last year, along with the partner from Stephanie. Oh, there she is. Yes, what's going on with the Staff Council?
I wrote nothing down, so I'm very unprepared. So we're going to have another great year like we did last year. Thank you for all who participate in our many wonderful events. I'm the chair. Steph's my vice chair, of course. We've got Danica for our secretary. Shaquana Adams is our historian again. Jenny Ferguson has agreed to have some fun social events for us again. Kimberly Blue is going to bring us some professional development. And we're still looking for someone to head up our special projects committee. Kim McMillan did a fantastic job with Super Steppers and our walking challenge. So hopefully those are in play again. But if you've got some other ideas for this year, professional development, some social ideas, give me an email, or you can email SCC Staff Council and we'll get those on the books. That's it.
Thanks, Jess. You know, one more thing that oh my, what happened to my notes? Oh, here they are. One more thing that I had not thought about that I wanted to ask about is where are we on European travel? We have, hopefully, next summer, hopefully, we will be able to travel wherever we want to travel, and the college wants to make sure that those of us who have never been to Europe have the opportunity to travel to Europe to make us more erudite so we can learn how to raise our pinky when we're drinking tea. Ron, Heather, where are we on that?
We have talked to Linda about the possibility of, since we have so many people backlog, look at the possibility of a group travel opportunity in May. So we'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good. For those of you who don't know, it is our aim to make sure that every one of you who has never been to Europe gets a chance to go to Europe, simply because it is the cradle of Western civilization, and you ought to see the Eiffel Tower before it gets blown over or something. Speaking of blown over, I have two special guests for you. One of them is Rebecca. Do you have anything to add to the festivities? She and Julie will do their thing later on. Brenda, of course, does have some things to talk to you about, including the progress we're making on Foundation Hall and the progress that the budget is making through the state legislature, which, of course, has a financial impact on us.
Thank you, Dr. Dempsey, and it's great to see everyone here and at home. I have the same affliction with the microphone, Nevia, so I have all of my notes as well. But we're so glad you're all here today. I did want to go ahead. I know that Jessica and Teresa with Mean Bean have headed down to get our lunches ready for us, but I want to welcome them and thank them and Kirk Lynch for working so hard to get us good food at good prices and safely delivered. So thank you for all your efforts. Appreciate that. As you are aware, part of our college strategic planning process includes program and intensive reviews, a retreat for staff and faculty, and then a report out session to vice presidents. We want to thank you for participating in these endeavors. We really feel like that grassroots efforts is the best way to go ahead and make effective plans for the college for the future. This year, the VPs heard, among other things, that communication plans for the improved dissemination of information need to be developed. Oh, hello there. And in the spirit of communication on behalf of the VPs, I just wanted to share several things with you here today. And this information really deals mainly with the safety and security of the campus and some concerns that we heard. I think you'll be glad to know, I don't know if Dwight's here, but anyways, I'm sure he is somewhere. But security cameras. So the installation of all the remaining security cameras in Moore County will take place over the next 14 weeks. So every building, parking lot, and common area will now have camera coverage. In Hoke, we already have security cameras that are there and functioning throughout that campus as well. So that's good news. We are also in the process of hiring additional housekeeping staff, both at Moore County and down in Hoke County. As you know, it's been hard for people to find workers in this environment, and so we're looking at full-time housekeeping staff here in Moore County. We're interviewing right now, and I know Tawana is interviewing some part-time folks down in Hoke, and we're going to make sure that we have our facilities clean and safe for all of us. Security personnel are being sought as well, mainly for nights and weekends at the Hoke and Moore County campuses, so we're working on that. And I also wanted to mention that we just had a report yesterday from an outside firm, Huron. It's a comprehensive IT and e-learning study was being conducted by this firm. The purpose of the study was to assess current services being provided to faculty, staff, and students and make recommendations for the future. Service and support, processes, staffing, and infrastructure, including Wi-Fi availability, are all being reviewed. And there'll be a lot more communication as we review the recommendations that we got yesterday. I want to thank Wendy and Kaufman and her staff and Rod Brower and his staff for being so open to looking at what we're doing in our areas post-COVID and what we need to do in the future to continue with the trends of learning. So thank you for that. All of those initiatives that I just talked to you about, we really are funding with COVID federal funds. They carry very strict uses, but we are trying to use them in the best way possible that we can. Next, I just wanted to touch upon building projects. There's a lot of projects going on, so I just want to hit one or two of the highlights at this point. At the Larry Cadell Center, we have hired a firm to do an update of our master plan there. That will assess any feasibility of additions that could be made to that center for program studies. A separate funding analysis will need to be done after that study is completed, and we'll keep you posted on that. You probably have noticed Foundation Hall is in the middle of construction. It'll be so for another year, so traffic has been rerouted, but we're making good progress there. Kennedy Hall renovations will be done first, and as that building is renovated, we'll be able to go ahead and start the new building as well. So there's a lot going on there. We actually paid for that with the $20 million bond issue that you all approved, the voters approved. So I just wanted to let you know that that's how that's being constructed. There is a new building at the Larry Cadell Center for construction classes, and it is finished and is ready to go. I know Lori and her staff have been working hard out there. That was paid for by grants secured by Andy and her staff. Andy is the queen of grants and always does great in that regard. And also we used our proceeds from the sale of our Westmore property to fund that project. Another exciting thing that we're going to be able to do is Meyer Hall lab renovations. And we have an architectural design service RFP is out for that. And we're going to be able to use money that we got from issuing the state bonds. They actually sold at a premium, and so we have a little bit over $2 million that we're going to use for that project. And so we want to thank Doug and Ken and his staff for coordinating those projects among many others that are currently going on. Lastly, we have the budget. It can be an exercise in futility trying to follow the budget every year, and I think people forget that July 1st is the beginning of the year, so we still do not have a budget. We're hoping maybe by the end of August to have one, but I think we have good news, knock on wood, this year. The community college budget priorities were for a 5% salary increase for employees over the 2-year biennium. The governor, the Senate, and the House, all of their budgets are out, and they all allow for some sort of raise for faculty and staff at community colleges. So that's good news. So we feel like that something will happen this year. The House just released their budget yesterday, I believe, and they actually had 7% for faculty over 2 years and 4% for staff over 2 years. The Senate had 3% over the 2 years, and the governor had 7.5%. So somewhere in that range, we hope to see some light at the end of the tunnel over the next 2 years as part of the budget. We also have what Dr. Dempsey referred to earlier as budget stabilization funds. So we're funded based on our enrollment or based on our FTE. And the amount of funds that we have for this year to work with are actually down. We were down 6% or 255 FTE. And so that's about a little over $1 million that we're down, $1.2 million that we're down in our budget this year. And so what we have asked the state is to stabilize our budget. So between what the state does for us and what the federal government does for us, we should be able to stick with our $25.6 million budget, which is what it was last year. 92% of our budget goes to salaries and benefits, so there's not a whole lot of wiggle room in what we spend on the rest of our money on. As Dr. Dempsey said, it's hard to make that up with pencils, but we feel like in the next year or two, with the budget stabilization funds, we'll be able to continue to operate at a good level. There is one last exciting thing that Dr. Dempsey, I think, wants to close with today, so I'll share that good news and let him talk. Thank you. Rebecca, is there something you wanted to mention? Okay. 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 All right. Thank you. Enjoy your day.
So I don't know about you all, but this week ends up being the most stressful week. I think just everything that's going on and getting going. So I totally forgot that I did have an announcement to make. Really, I did it for dramatic effect, but so we have a lot of folks on this campus who work very hard, sometimes quietly behind the scenes without getting a lot of attention, without drawing a lot of attention to themselves. And one of those people I would like to recognize right now, and that is Jackie Babb. Jackie Babb is our faculty coordinator or faculty advisor for our Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. And as many of you know, each semester, students with a particular GPA and a completion of a certain number of hours are invited to join. That brings them a group for them to belong to, a group to meet, do service projects on campus, as well as it makes them eligible for scholarships for when they might transfer to a four-year school. So I'm just going to read briefly from a letter that the National Phi Theta Kappa Association sent to honor Jackie. We at Phi Theta Kappa owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to our chapter advisors whose dedicated service is responsible for the success of our local chapters. Please join with us in expressing gratitude to your chapter advisor, Jackie Babb, for service rendered to Phi Theta Kappa over these many years of presenting the enclosed gift during an appropriate occasion. And what more appropriate than having us all here today for the first time in quite a while to celebrate Sand Hills and to celebrate our return to school. And I don't believe I see Jackie in the audience, but Jackie, I hope you're out there watching, and I'll be holding on to this safely in my office. So thank you again, Jackie, for all you do for Phi Theta Kappa and all that the group, our local chapter, does for the college.
Thanks, Rebecca. Jackie, if you're watching, the gift is a Maserati. So I suggest you come to Rebecca's office to get that at your first opportunity. I want to close with two things. First of all is vaccination. My dear friend Rachel, where is young Rachel? Where is she? She was here this morning. There she is. I asked her, how many people have come forth and put in their vaccination certificates to get their $250. And the answer that she gave me is 167, which is almost exactly 50% of our faculty, full-time faculty and staff. Now that is about what the North Carolina average is. That is about what the Moore County average is. And many people would be satisfied with that, but I'm not satisfied to be average for North Carolina. I'm not satisfied to be average for Moore County. 167 people coming forward means one of three things. One is they've got the thing in their pocket and they forgot to come by. Perfectly understandable. Two is they've decided not to get vaccinated. They just don't want to do it. Three is they don't need the $250. Now, I know that that one's not viable, and I suspect the first one isn't viable. But that means there are half of us who have chosen not to get vaccinated. I will tell you that we have had discussions about making vaccination mandatory. We have decided not to do that at the present time. But, you know, it's a little bit like somebody said last night on the PBS NewsHour, and pardon my French, but they said it's a little bit like peeing in the pool. You know, if you've got 20% of the people at the local, swimming pool urinating in the pool rather than getting up and going to the bathroom, sooner or later it's going to pollute the entire pool. And a group of folks who are not vaccinated has the potential to be dangerous not only for themselves, but for the folks that they encounter. The nice thing about vaccination is it means that if you get the vaccine, if you get the COVID, which most of us probably will sooner or later, you won't get real sick from it. And that's important to remember. I don't mind, you know, having the flu. I just don't want to go to the hospital and die from having the flu. That's what can happen if you are of a certain age. And that age, by the way, is not 75. That age is probably 45. You can get sick and you can die. And it's very serious. So we've had those conversations. We've decided not to do it. But I want to reiterate that if you bring your little vaccination certificate, Rachel will give you $250 in small, unmarked bills that you don't have to tell your spouse that you got. You see, that's the nice thing about this. So having said that, I do want to say something. Brenda came up and said, I want to talk to you about, I think the first two things she said were security and housekeeping. And we did make a commitment to put security cameras everywhere, because obviously putting security cameras everywhere, but the last 14 caused us to slip from the single safest community college in America to the second safest community college in America. So rest assured that even without those 14 lights, you're in a pretty safe environment, thanks to Chief Threet and his posse. They keep us safe, and lo and behold, and I know you know this because I sent out an email, and I know you read all my emails thoroughly, in a survey that was done by, I don't know who, you know, somebody checking stuff that we had nothing to do with, we were named the second safest community college in America, as well, and I know you know this, as the second most beautiful community college in America. Yes, thanks to our gang. So I will finish. As Brenda said, the Senate has put into its budget a 1.5% raise, I think, I'm looking right at Libin now, 1.5% raise for each of the next 2 years. The House has put into its budget a 3.5% raise for each of the next 2 years, making it 7%. And the governor's budget, do you know what the governor's budget reads, Brenda? Okay, the governor's budget essentially reads what the House reads, about 7% over the next 2 years. But I have learned in my 33 years at this place that you can't trust these guys. And sometimes you have to take matters into your own hands. And so this year, thanks largely to our COVID funding situation, we found ourselves in a position where we could, as all of the vice presidents are committed to doing, do something for the faculty and staff. And so we have put enough money in the piggy bank for you to collect a $2,000 bonus. It's actually a $3,000 bonus, but you will collect $2,000. Can you imagine that? If I give you a $3,000 raise, Kimberly, a $2,000 raise, it costs $3,000 because of your retirement and your health insurance and so forth and so on. It costs $3,046 per person to give us a raise that will look like it's $2,000 in our check. And I always like to say to Brenda, if I say a $2,000 raise, I want people to get the $2,000, even if it costs us $3,000. So you'll be getting in your October check, which is not very far from now. You'll be getting in your August check, which is even less far from now. An extra $2,000. It will be part of the, in other words, if you make $5,000, you make $7,000. Okay, so it'll actually be part of the check. So it'll be a $2,000 bonus for you, plus what? It is a separate check. You see, Brenda doesn't know everything. You know, I would like the judge to note that occasionally, very, very rarely, Brenda makes an error. And it is, in fact, a separate check that you may very easily hide from your spouse, which actually takes the value of it back up to the $3,000 level. You know, if you don't have to split it with your husband, you know, it's really some serious money. So you will get that in August. You will get your vaccination $250 in November. Is that correct? In October. Halloween. It'll come in time for Halloween, and I hope that you enjoy spending it as much as we enjoyed making it available to you. I can't tell you enough how grateful those of us who are in positions of, well, we're all in positions of leadership at the college, but those of us who are in positions at least if you looked at an organization chart, we're at the top of the organization chart. I can't tell you enough about how much we appreciate. To a person, we are committed to taking every nickel we can get our hands on and getting it to you if it's humanly possible to do so. Brenda's committed to that. I'm committed to that. Rebecca's committed to that. Andy's committed to that. Ron is a little iffy, but we are all totally committed to recognizing you for what you do each and every day to make this college, this community, and this planet a better place to live. So let me close simply by, first of all, asking you if anybody has any questions. If they have any questions having to do with months, will be transferred to somebody else, because I'm not good at months. With no questions, then, I will again thank you. It is such a pleasure to see all of you. Kimberly is nodding. It's a joy beyond words to be in your presence, and we appreciate what you do, and we look forward to a great school year. Thank you.